right, after a much needed break, I think we're ready to resume. So Sarah, this time I would like to start with you. You and your husband had a conversation where you suggested that he should sleep with your slave Hagar so that she would have a son for him. Girl, what was you thinking? I mean, what inspired such a decision? Well, I mean, looking back in retrospect, now it just sounds stupid. But at the time, you have to understand that God made me and Abraham a promise that we would have a child and countless descendants. But I was already in my late 70s. And common sense said that I was not going to be able to have children. So I figured that if I gave him my slave to marry, that perhaps I could build a family through her. And how did that work out for you? Horribly. I cannot believe Abraham actually went and impregnated her. Whoa. How is this my fault? You're the one responsible for the wrong I've suffered. This was your idea, woman. Okay, let's calm down, okay? Just tell me, what exactly was the wrong that you suffered, that you say your husband, Abraham, was responsible for? I put my slave in his arms, and as soon as she finds out she's pregnant, she begins to despise me. May God judge between me and you. Oh my goodness, women are literally impossible. So Abraham, what was your response to this? I said, hey, look, this is your slave. Do with her as you see best. And so I did, but then you made the poor woman run away. Poor woman? Whose side are you on? You know what? There are 3 sides to every story, and I think it's best if we hear from Hagar herself. You brought her here? Sarah, play nice. Hagar, thanks for joining us today. So Hagar, I've heard Abraham and Sarah's side of the story. I simply just want to hear yours as well. Yeah, so I was Sarah's slave at the time. They acquired me while they were in Egypt. So anyway, one day Sarah comes up to me with the plan to have me marry Abraham so that I could have a son for him. A plan that I'm totally down with. I'm like, period, let's do it. So that's what we do. So long story short, we get married, we have our honeymoon, and woo! We had a time that night. Let's keep it discreet. Anyway, I end up being pregnant with his baby, and she decides to catch an attitude. No, you decided to catch an attitude. No, you decided to catch an attitude. This was your plan, sis. I'm not your sis. I'm your mistress. Was. Okay, let's calm down. Hagar, it is evident from all witnessing parties that you did experience an attitude change towards your then mistress. So would you like to explain to me where that was coming from? Well, I was carrying Abraham's baby. I deserved a little extra respect. I wasn't just a regular slave girl anymore. I was carrying his next heir. And I just feel like she just needed to be reminded of that every now and again. That's all. Or always. So what was Sarah's reaction to this? She started mistreating me. Like, she literally started treating me like a dog. It was so terrible, I had to run away. Wow. I'm really sorry to hear that. But, excuse me for asking, but if it was so terrible, what made you go back to her? Well, after I ran away, an angel found me in the desert, and he told me to go back to my mistress and to submit to her. But he also made me a promise, and he said that my descendants are going to be so numerous that nobody will be able to count them. Period. Oh, and he also said that I was pregnant with a son and that I should call him Ishmael. So that's how my baby got his name. Don't leave out the other part. If you're going to spill the tea, you might as well spill all of it. This is my story to tell, so I can tell it how I so please. Ladies, please. Oh, no, it's fine. This is my story too. So I'm going to tell all of it. The part that she so conveniently left out is that the angel went on to say that her son would be a wild donkey of a man. His hand will be against everyone, and every man's hand will be against his, and he will live continuously in hostility towards all his brothers. Thank you so much for that. You're very welcome. So how did we now get here? That is, you no longer being a part of Abraham's tribe. Well, there's a whole lot that happened between that. Please share. Well, after Ishmael was born when I was 86 years old, a few years later when I was 9 and 9, years old, an angel appeared to me and said, well, he said a lot of things, such as that he was changing my name from Abram to Abraham, that he was changing my wife's name from Sarai to Sarah. What else? That every single male in my tribe had to get circumcised, including me and every man that came after me. Ouch. Yeah. What else? Oh, and that Sarah will bear me a son and we will call him Isaac. Amazing. Indeed. And to confirm it, the Lord visited me again near the great trees of Mamre. I looked up and I saw 3 men standing nearby, so I invited them to come dine with me. And eventually they went on to say that a year from that time, that Sarah would bear me a son. Wow. Sarah, what was your reaction to this? Well, to be quite honest, I laughed. It was crazy to think that a man at 100 years old and a woman at 90 could have the pleasure of having a child. But God called me out on it though, because he sees all and hears all. Understandable. But evidently, it did happen. Congratulations. Thank you. God is good. What a beautiful miracle. But how does all of this lead to Hagar leaving? Right. So after Isaac was born and after he was weaned, off of breast milk, I held this huge feast. And, but then, well, Ishmael started mocking my baby. That's what I was getting to it. Well, you weren't getting to it fast enough. I told him to get rid of that slave woman and her son. Yes, a matter that greatly distressed Abraham. Indeed it did. But God assured me that Ishmael would also be blessed and that he would make him into a great nation as well. It's just that it was through Isaac God wanted my descendants to come. So I did as Sarah and God commanded, and I sent them away. Hagar, how was that experience for you? It was horrible. Can you believe this millionaire of a man sent us away with just 1 skin of water and a little bit of food? We almost died in that desert. And when our water finished, it was so hard to watch Ishmael just dying. I laid him down by a bush and walked away sobbing. But thankfully, God heard our cries and he led us to a well of water. And ever since then, God was with Ishmael growing up. He lived in the desert. He became an archer. And when the time came, I got him a wife from Egypt because Egyptian girls, period, were the best. And now here we are, prospering. Thank you so much, Hagar, for your insights. I appreciate you stopping by. My pleasure. Now, if you don't mind, I really don't want to be around these two any much longer. Wow. Well, that was a lot to ingest. What? Are you getting stressed, Doc? We haven't even reached the part where he tried to kill my baby. Context and detail, Sarah. We've been through this. You know what? I'm not even going to sit here any longer and lie to y'all. I'm not really a licensed marriage counselor. I just wanted to know if the rumors were true because I was trying to figure out if I was really hearing what I clearly heard. And golly, they're true. Now, like I said, I'm not really a licensed marriage counselor, but what I do suggest is that the two of you go see a psychologist because something ain't right with y'all way of thinking. It just ain't right. Some may call it faith, some may call it craziness. As for me, I'm finna mind my own business from here on out. Woo! Peace and good luck. You Bible characters need Jesus. That's what y'all know. What just happened?